Check it out, Casper!
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in, Casper here, and today we're going to be looking at some of the unused content from Team Fortress 2. Now, by unused, I mean content which has actually been completely developed by Valve, and for some reason either didn't ever make it into the game fully, or is actually sitting in the game files now, and just simply nothing is happening with it. So maybe some of these things I talk about more towards the end of this video could actually make it into the game one day. But let's start off with some unused weapons, which are pretty much complete. First up is the nail gun. Now this is actually a weapon for the scout, and the model that you're looking at on the screen now is the official model that was completely built, or at least built enough to look at what you're looking at right now. Now, for those of you who aren't familiar with Team Fortress Classic, this is actually pretty much the weapon that the Scout had in Team Fortress Classic, and it operates a lot like the syringe gun for the medic. So rather than a hit scan weapon, which means as soon as you click, your bullets register immediately where your crosshair is, this is a projectile weapon, so you would actually shoot and there would be a small amount of time where the bullets would travel through the air to hit the enemy. Now this would actually make Scout a much more different class than what it is right now, because the difference between projectiles and hit scan is a very different style of playing. Honestly, I'm quite happy the Scout ended up the way he did. Next up is another weapon which was in Team Fortress Classic, but never made it into Team Fortress 2, although clearly it was there in early development, is the tranquilizer gun. Now don't worry, it's not quite your real life tranquilizer. The spy wasn't able to shoot people and they would fall asleep, but it would reduce mouse turning speed and the target's running speed on hit. Now, things like that are really unfun to play against. If any of you guys have played Overwatch, there's loads of slow mechanics or stun mechanics, and personally I hate that sort of thing. So I'm really glad that that particular thing didn't make it into Team Fortress 2 other than the Scout stun ball, and in some respects what Pyro's air blast can do. The idea of a utility weapon for the spy does really interest me. A gun which can do something, maybe something which can not sap a building from range, but make the building do less damage from range, or less healing, or teleport slower, for example, for a small amount of time. Almost like an EMP gun. Something like that would be cool. I wouldn't necessarily like to see this exact thing in Team Fortress 2, but something like it could work. And now the last weapon I want to talk about, which was originally from Team Fortress Classic and was almost put into Team Fortress 2 based on how far through development was, is the Dynamite pack. Now this is actually something which the demo man would use, and it would function a lot like the sticky bomb launcher today. You would put dynamite down and then you'd be able to remotely detonate it. But the reason I want to talk about this one is because, oh my god, how much does this look like it could be a sapper for the spy? I've honestly had this idea, I'm not making this up, I've had the idea for a sapper which looks like dynamite. Then rather than disable a building, it goes on the building, it ticks down 8 seconds or whatever, and it blows the building up and damages anything in the near radius. I would love to see that for the spy. And this model would be perfect. Literally, just put it in. Just use this model. You've already got it. I would love to see that. And hopefully, one day, we'll get something other than the regular sapper, which is actually usable. On a completely different theme now to unused weapons, there's actually a series of unused kill icons in the game. Quite a few of them are reflect-based ones, so headshot with a deflected arrow, kill with a reflected burning arrow, a reflected bonk ball. I don't know why they're not actually used, but they're there. But perhaps more interestingly than ones which are for weapons which exist but just aren't used, are a couple which appear to be for weapons which don't exist. There's one here for Baleful Beacon and another one for the Fly Swatter. Now these are both weapons which were designed for a Halloween pack, but for whatever reason they never made it into the game. So the kill icons were designed for them, and at least in the case of the Baleful Beacon, it looks like it had a model as well, but it just never made it into the game. So it's a bit of a shame for any community creators which obviously made these weapons and didn't get to see them fully in the game, but honestly, if they're going to be reskins of the default melee weapon, I think we're better off without them. And one more kill icon, or set of kill icons I would love to talk about, is these two. Now, they look like water balloons to me, and the idea of a water balloon based minigame in Team Fortress 2, I don't see what could be wrong with that. I don't know what it would be like. Hopefully it doesn't end up like May's Smowball thing from Overwatch. A bit more exciting than that. Or somehow a weapon which douses someone in water with a water balloon in some way. I know, the guys who make this game, they got some cool ideas, so if this kill icon ever gets used, I'm sure it'd be something very interesting. We've also got a series of unused, unusual effects which are in the game. Now, all the images that you're looking at here are from the Team Fortress Wikipedia. There will be a link to this in the description so you can check them out yourself. But some of these, I don't see any reason not to have them. These sparklers look pretty cool. These are actually, I don't believe they're based on any existing effect, so those are pretty cool. Now this one I don't like because it looks too much like an achievement. It just looks like someone's constantly getting an achievement. So not the best effect in my opinion. But there's also these things which, at least according to the name, is beanie. And they're like little antler things. Not much of an unusual effect unless they maybe glow or rotate or something. Again, interesting to see that these things are in the game, but just simply not being used. And I just want to give a special shout out here to the halo effect. I love halos as sort of like character items, and I'm so devastated that I can never get the Cheetah's Lament in this game because I simply didn't play the game at the time. I owned the game, I'd played the game before, and I'd played the game after, but I didn't play the game during the promotional period, so I'm gutted. So I do hope they do add this effect so I can finally get a halo. Next up, we've got something a bit more meta. There's nothing physical for you to see here, but these are effects which exist in the game, weapon attributes which exist in the game that aren't currently used on any weapon. Some of them are not that exciting, but there are a few which are. For example, absorb damage while cloaked. So obviously if you damage a spy while he's cloaked with this weapon, you would actually, at least as is implied here, be healing the spy back that damage. Now this sounds like it could be extremely broken. Unless it's very obvious that you are doing this, then there's no reason to stop if you didn't know that that was happening, like you're just trying to kill him. So one, that could be a reason why it never actually got used anywhere. Or two, they might just be finding a way to get this in there which makes it so obvious that you're doing it so you know to stop doing it. But again, this does sound like it could be really powerful. Probably the reason that it never ended up in there. Another attribute is Charged Air Blast. You would actually be able to hold down mouse 2 or whatever it is and build up a stronger air blast. Obviously this isn't for extinguishing teammates who are really burning, this is for blowing people back really far. This is a great idea and it actually reminds me of a April Fool's video that Star did years ago, where he, on his own server, had modded a flamethrower to look like it had like a rapid fire air blast. And that was actually a really cool idea. It didn't look too powerful because it had obviously downsides to counteract it. And this is another play around that same theme where the primary use of the gun is to air blast. I would love, again, to see this idea played with a bit more. And hey, we got a big pyro update coming up soon, guys, so who knows? Maybe this very attribute will get pulled back. Now, there's one last unused thing I do want to talk about, and that is actually related to MvM. So for what I understand, the only reason we know about this is because an image was added to the game, this image, which appears to be a blimp. Now, I'm assuming this had a name. This image might have been called BLIMP or something like that, which is why we know it's a blimp and not like a missile or something. But it is categorized on the Wikipedia, at least, as a boss. Now, I'm just imagining you all looking up in the sky, and there is a giant robot-style blimp flying over you, and you've all got to shoot upwards. So maybe this is why it's not in the game, because that's something that's very different to Team Fortress 2. You know, most of it's ground combat. You don't have... There is 3D space in Team Fortress 2. You do shoot upwards, but you'd very rarely shoot like directly upwards unless there's a soldier dive bombing you. And obviously a demo man can't do anything about this. I'm hoping that we do see something creative. MvM is well due some sort of content. So if they could implement this blimp in a way which doesn't become banal to fight it, it actually has some sort of way that you can fight it, or it could just be something there in the environment. So the blimp, say, is flying around the arena or whatever map that you're playing it on, and then you're doing things which slowly take damage off the blimp. You know, as you beat waves, the damage gets done to the blimp or something like that. But a giant blimp just sounds so cool and would be perfect for MvM in my opinion. So anyway, guys, those are some of the cooler things that I found. As I said, the link will be in the description to the Wikipedia about all the unused content. And you can browse through that yourself. You might find something more interesting which I haven't mentioned. But I just want to say, if we do not see Dynamite ever by the time Team Fortress dies, then I will die unhappy. Thanks everybody for watching. Here's a couple of other videos, and I shall see you all very soon.